So, welcome to our follow-up webinar. Congratulations to everyone who's participated in the 2 workshops and did the other webinar last week. Now that we're all set to go, so tonight we're going to be talking about working in the cloud. So we've got the questions there. I'll be reading out any that answer my questions, so feel free to just use it as a chat box. And Chris is able to give me input as she goes along as well. Yes, I am, Chris. So we are recording tonight. I'm a little bit horrified about that because I sound really hideous, but we are going to have a fantastic time. So can I get you just to type a couple of questions about what you think working in the cloud means? Just give you a minute or so. Means nothing to you? So where you store documents and data, for example, yes. And what, do you store them in the cloud, Jennifer? Is that what you're saying? What does the cloud mean? Cyberspace. Fantastic. I know you can't see other people's questions, so I'm going to be reading them out loud. So anything that I see there that answers a question or asks a question, I will read it out so that you are on the ball with what everybody else is saying. So Eugenie says that it means paying for software use each month, and and data is not stored on our own network. It's stored in the cloud. And I think they're fantastic responses because when I first started hearing about this whole thing about using the cloud, I just thought, oh my gosh, what on earth are they talking about? This is just the most confusing thing. How could data possibly be in the cloud? And you, of course, visualize a cloud. What they're basically saying is that your hiring space, as Eugenie said, your hiring space, whether that's free or not, depends on the program, to store data virtually, which is really apt for what we're doing. So instead of having all of your data sort of stashed under your desk or under your computer in hard drives or disks or anything like that, which you probably would as well, you've got copies of all of your files on a remote server, basically is what that means. It's kind of like storing all your files the same way that you store website files. Does that make sense? I'll need a lot of yeses and nos. And whenever it doesn't make sense, make sure you say so because you know, there might be things that I assume when I'm talking, and I really don't want you to go away feeling that you should have asked something. And remember too, nobody can see your questions, so you can ask any question and not feel silly. You shouldn't feel silly anyway, but you can. So benefits of working in the cloud means that wherever you go, your data is hovering around in cyberspace with you. You can grab it whenever you like, so long as you have internet access. You can utilize a lot of space. Previously, I think when people were working, and I'm still a young lass myself, but I know that my dad used to come home with a floppy disk, and some of you might have, and that wouldn't store much at all, and that was still exciting that it would store 2 or 3 files. Whereas now, if you've got space in the cloud, you can have absolutely huge quantities of space there to store your data. It's pretty much limitless at the moment, which is absolutely fantastic. It means that you can communicate with your clients from anywhere, and you can all see the same files, the same documents, without having to worry about transferring them every time a change is made. There's a comment here about remembering when PCs didn't even have hard disks. Was that those weird plastic floppy kind of ones? Because I do remember those, but they were, I think I was in primary school then, showing my age. And as it says in the spreadsheet too, it means that we've got so much more freedom. We've got, instead of storing our folders in filing cabinets, we send them to a friend's place for protection and storage at a cost. That's what Marie Bridges likes to describe it as, which is a really good way of doing it, of saying it. And it's exactly the same as what you do with your website data. I know that you often wonder where those images, where those files are stored. They're stored in a server. It's basically just a big machine that stores everything for everybody, and there's a bunch of them across the world, and that's where all of the files are stored. So they're not actually in clouds. Oh, it's a breakthrough right there. So we're going to look at the basics of cloud programs that can help us work in the cloud. Questions. Okay, so have you tried to store scanned documents? Yeah, well, you can scan them. You know what I actually just recently discovered, thanks to Donna, is an app, and I haven't got my phone here next to me, but it's called, Chris, can you remember what it was called? It's a program where you take a photo of any of your documents and it PDFs them for you, and you can save that instantly to Dropbox, or you can email it, or you can do whatever you like. So if you are saving it to Dropbox, which is going to be the first program I'm going to talk about, you would instantly be saving those files to the cloud, which is just fantastic. At the end, I can find out what that app is and give it to you, the name of it, because it's that sort of thing just makes it really speedy and easy. The other question is, or statement is like in the old days when we used terminals back to a mainframe somewhere? Yes, but on a really, really big scale. So instead of being in one building where everybody's got the server room, which people still do, but I sort of picture it as so much more global than that, where everybody's using the same server room. Okay, so Dropbox. Dropbox, I don't know how we survived without Dropbox, to be perfectly honest with you. Do you all use Dropbox, or have you heard of it before? Okay, so you said it is one of the comments here. You said it's a bit different to Dropbox, so we can talk about that a little bit later. Excuse me. Okay, so heard about it but don't use it. I can't recommend it highly enough, especially if you're going to be doing VA work. Basically how Dropbox works is once you've installed it, you will have a folder on your computer that whenever you, let me just see, there's been a response here. That's right, Bridget, Marie Bridget, that's right. I'll read that out in just a moment. You will have a folder on your computer, which is basically just called Dropbox. And in there, any file that you have stored in there, you can select who can view that so long as they also have a Dropbox account. And it's always synchronized. So if I wanted to share a file with Chris, for example, which we do all the time, we have a folder in my Dropbox, and the Dropbox, as I said, it's just a normal folder on your computer. That's how it looks. You click on that folder when you're in Explorer, and there'll be a folder in there that I have gone in and specifically told it to connect and share with Chris using her email address that she's set up her Dropbox account with, which is what her username would be. So once she's approved that, she will have that same file sitting on her computer, and any time that it's updated by one of us, it will be updated on the other person's computer. There is a catch with that. It can be there can be issues with people working on the same file at the same time and having duplicate copies, because the file will say, okay, yep, this is a duplicate because you've both saved the same file pretty much within the same time while it was open. But there are other programs that can help you determine whether that is open or not, and that is something that I will also find out for you what the name of it is, because I am all blocked up and can't think of it right now, so I'm going to write down a note to myself. Where are we? So Dropbox, excuse me, duplicates. Now what Marie Bridget said, and feel free to say don't say my name after something if you don't want me to, is saving a draft document in Hotmail is the cloud, and even if our computers are corrupted, we can access or store files we save in our email accounts from another PC. Yes, that's true. When we're in some cases, we've got our files backed up to the cloud, and there's some where we've got them shared with other people. So at the moment, we're looking at when we're sharing them with other people. So if you set up Dropbox on your computer, you will be able to then say to a client, okay, I've got some files here I want to share with you, and we'll work on them together. I'll send you an invitation to the Dropbox folder. You go into the folder and you right-click on it, and it says Share With, and you would just go in and select an email address of that person, share it with them. If they have Dropbox, it will automatically say to them, do you want to accept this folder share? And if they don't have Dropbox, it'll send them an invitation to join. There's free versions and paid versions. So for your clients, they can just go with the free ones. There's different security levels, I believe, but they're all fantastic. They're really good. And if you have a share URL that you give to other people, you can increase the amount of space that you have in your Dropbox folder each time somebody, it's like an affiliate program, somebody signs up under your link. So does that make sense?
The other really cool thing about Dropbox too is you can actually save large files in there. So rather than trying to email backwards and forwards really large files, you can just put them into the Dropbox, and it saves, you know, because some email accounts won't allow you, excuse me, allow you to go over your limit, and it'll say you can't attach this file because it's too large or whatever. But if it's in Dropbox, and both yourself and your client can then access these files. I recently had I had to send out a series of photos for a project that was being done, and it was hundreds and hundreds of photos to hundreds of different clients, you know, and so rather than send me she would have had to send me hundreds of emails because the files were too big. She just put all the photos into Dropbox, and I took them out as I needed them for each particular person that I was sending them out to. So that's another really great benefit of using Dropbox.
Exactly. It's absolutely perfect reason to use it, and one of the main reasons why I do. We have a lot of large files when we're dealing with web work, and you know, and they're constantly being worked on as well. So people will send through a large image and they'll want it changed to work in with their brand or excuse me, or whatever it is. We change it. It's still there in the Dropbox, but we've got the new version, and everybody knows what version we're working on. Is there a limit to the size of the file and folder structure? How many folders you can have within your Dropbox? That's a good question, Louise. It depends on the level of your subscription to Dropbox. So you've got your free versions, and with your free versions, for example, say you get 2 GB worth of memory, that's pretty big, but you would get an extra half a gig or something like that each time you referred someone through to Dropbox. So you went on Facebook and you said, hey, if you're not using Dropbox, use it. This is so good. And you put your little URL in there, or your little address there, so that they can click on it, and Dropbox knows that they've found Dropbox through you. You get credited with extra space, and so that's the only way that's gauged in terms of the space. So the amount of folders does not matter. I've got heaps, but the size of the files, there's a cap on that. If you find that you're hitting that cap, you can go onto the paid versions, and it's huge what you can get onto your paid versions, and it's quite affordable as well. So as a VA, it's probably one of the programs that I think you have to have. Okay.
I agree, and I tell you, if you go and buy a HTC phone like I did, they just gave me 26 gig worth of space on my Dropbox account. I nearly had a heart attack. I was so excited.
You're like me. I just honestly don't know how I lived without it. When I first, here's the memories. When I first started up, we were on dial-up. Can you hear it now? The little ding, ding, ding. I was living in the country, and it was dial-up, and I was living at home actually with my dad, and he was running a business upstairs, and I was running one downstairs. And he would, if he needed to get a large photo sent through to him for one of his jobs, he would give them my email address, and it used to drive me mental because it meant that my email would freeze for about 2 hours for a 250 megabyte file, which is nothing these days, and it just slowed everything down. But with Dropbox, you would never even have to think about it. You don't even notice it happening. It doesn't affect any other program. You'll get a notice saying, you might get a little pop-up saying that there's a file there, or otherwise an email from the person saying, I've just added that file to Dropbox. It's in there now. Go and have a look.
At the bottom right hand of your screen there, Rosie, there's an example of what the pop-up looks like.
Thanks, Rob's computer.
Yeah.
How good is that? So that is just right there that you can see. How fantastic is that? That's one of my assistants obviously doing his work, which is fantastic. And he's working on, I can see that he's working on an Artisteer file and he's just updated it. So it's just given me a notice there. And I can choose to ignore that or not. And because I'm actually not working on that particular project, I'll just ignore it and I can close it. But there's little setting options. What does the settings say? Let's have a look.
You can turn the notifications off. I turn them off because they drive me insane.
So there you go. These are the notifications. Because I clicked on the little spanner, I could just decide whether or not those notifications come up or not. So Louise was just looking at it going, what is that thing you've got at the bottom of your screen? Now, security is at folder level, Louise. That's but you can have so many folders. So I've got folders that each folder in my Dropbox, and I'll give you a quick squiz at my Dropbox. This is, it sounds like you're looking at my underwear or something, but let's just close this for a second. I'm very, very professional over here. Let's have a look. So this is he'll give you an example. This is my Dropbox. See, it's actually called my Dropbox. So when you download the program and you install it, you'll get a folder like this. Now, one of my Dropbox folders I use a lot is called the Three Amigos, so I've done a little shortcut here. But the Three Amigos is what we're doing right now. I'm going to love it. All of these folders are shared with different people. Every single one of them is shared with different people. So some of them are shared with 3 or 4 people. Some of them are shared with 1 person. It just absolutely depends. So they're shared at this level. If you have folders underneath, so let me have a look at which ones I've got. Here we go. So in our office here, you've got all these folders underneath. I'm pretty sure, Chris, can you confirm this? You can share that folder. So you probably can share at a lower level. Yeah, so there you go.
Yes, I think you can.
Yeah, so, and that's as easy as it is. What I did there was I just did a right click and you find the little box, the Dropbox icon there, and you can either go to the Dropbox website or you can share that folder or share the link to that folder. I find share the link is not so helpful for me anyway. It just seems to have errors. But share this folder, and what it'll do is it'll take us to the Dropbox website, and all I do is here, invite more people. So these are the people who are already on it. And I would just put an email address in there to say I wanted Chris to share this with me, and then I would send an invite to her. And she'd receive that, just say, okay, and that folder will appear in her Dropbox. So she doesn't want to see that because that's a very boring folder for her. Okay. So it's that easy. It's that easy. It is so fantastic, and there's just so much there to share that you can share, so it's great. So yeah, if you've got a big project and you need to split pieces of it up, especially if you're project management, then yeah, see, I haven't really needed to do so much of that, so I haven't really done any of the right-clicking share folders in the subfolders, but yes, Louise, awesome question, and the answer is yes. So let me just see what these are the prices. Is that for Dropbox? Yes. So with Dropbox, the other thing is there's the app on the HTC, as Chris said before. There's the app on the iPhone, and what I've found is it's actually a really great backup option as well. If a lot of our work files are in the Dropbox, so if I'm on the go, I can just go and look in my Dropbox app and see whatever I want in there, which is fantastic. And it means that, yeah, you're synchronizing, so it's absolutely fantastic. I could rave about it all day. Going backwards. All right, so these are the prices as far as Donna put this together. So 2 gigabytes, oh, there you go, I was right, for free, or plans starting from $10 per month. There's less security on the free one, which makes sense. But I actually, even on the paid one, I don't put private details like credit card details or anything like that in there. I just don't see why you would. But if you do, just make sure, as she says here, read the fine print and make sure that you're sort of covering yourself with that. I feel so beautiful with this voice, nice and sultry. Okay. And I love it when Chris pipes up and splutters into the microphone. We're role models.
No, we're as bad as each other.
Lucky we love our job. So the next one, any final questions on Dropbox? I know I went on about it for a while, but it's so important. Eugenie loves my man voice. I feel honoured. So Marie Bridget, you use Skype. Does anybody else use Skype? Yep. Okay, so not everybody uses it. Let's have a look. But you will soon. Okay, lovely. Now, it's basically a phone call very similar to what we're doing right now. It's on your computer. You make a call to another member. You can make it to a phone number or another Skype member. Member's a really hard word to say when you've got a blocked nose. And you can just have a phone conversation. So it's great for, yeah, Louise, it's perfect for video conferencing and online training. It's got recording options and all that sort of stuff in terms of there's little plugins and add-ons and stuff. I haven't found them to be overly reliable. Feel free to pipe up if you found any that are good. I got told Pamela was a good app, but I found it just didn't do what I needed it to do with recording. It was very limited. So if you're doing big training things or webinars, you use the software like what we've got here, which is the GoToWebinar software. But for Skype, you can chat. You can just do the text chat, or you can do voice calls on the phone. UCam 5, is that linked to Skype, Louise? Or is that, because Louise has said she makes videos for training sessions using UCam 5. Is that like what we're using right now, or is it like Skype? Just wait for an answer. Similar to which one? All right, I'm going to keep talking until I see a response there. So you can use Skype. You can use Skype to make those calls to other landlines if you have a paid account. And if you do have a free account, you can just do the instant chat features, or you can just do calls from member to member. So it's quite handy. I don't use it a huge amount myself. Chris, do you use it a lot?
No, I don't use it very much. Okay. But I have used it. Another feature it has, which is really cool, is you can share your screen. So if you're showing somebody how to do something, like I do a bit of Outlook training and time management training on Outlook, and I can actually bring up my Outlook and show the other person what I'm talking about, which is really cool.
Yes, so the screen sharing is really, really handy on it. Let's have a look. The format layout is a bit different, but the outcome is the same, Bridget's saying. So, Bridget, do you use UCam 5 as well? Yes, okay. Okay, so I'm not sure what you mean, Mary Bridget, with the share screen without linking the PCs. I'm just going to keep going. I know that we're conscious of time. We don't want to go for too long. So you've got the iPhone and iPads now have the Skype app, and it's either free or very affordable. It's transportable, and it's basically like your VoIP, and it's all on your computer. You can send or receive calls, and it's much more affordable than having your landline. And one of my favourite things is you can turn it off, because I love phones. So these are the costs here. So Skype is free to do the Skype to Skype calls. It's easier to say Skype to Skype calls than member to member. One-to-one video calls. So you can't do the group video calls on the free account. You can do the screen sharing and the instant messaging. So it can be very handy for trading one-on-one. The pay-as-you-go from 1.9 cents a minute. There's some American prices in there with your VAT, and it includes the option to call phones and to send SMSs and to do call forwarding. And then the subscription is cheaper, obviously, because they're getting money off you each month, and you've got better rates with it, basically, for the same options. Okay, let me just have a look at that. So you aren't linking PCs, you're just showing what is happening on the screen like we're doing tonight. Okay. Well, if anyone wants to have a look, so if you guys recommend this other one, because it's not one I know, UCAM5, which is U as in YOU, CAM for Mary, number 5 is another option that the girls are recommending. Okay, MailChimp. It breaks my heart to recommend MailChimp because I offer an e-newsletter program called Webtastic Email Marketer. But if you want to go for a cheaper option, I had to get that in there, Chris.
Yes, I did notice that.
It was killing me. It depends what you want in your newsletter marketing. So I found some people find MailChimp a little bit challenging to use. Other people love it. So it's definitely worth having a look. And if you want the real basics, it is for free. So it's obviously going to be nice for your budget. And it helps, what this is for is your email marketing program, so your newsletters, all that sort of thing. And one of the things that I really recommend that you do not do is send group newsletter notices through just Outlook. So sending them to as a PDF attachment, for example, or a Word document attachment, even worse. If you're sending newsletters out to your clients, please use a program like MailChimp or Webtastic Email Marketer, and and do it professionally. And there's a couple of reasons for this. Now, with MailChimp, for example, and we're just using that as an example, there's quite a few out there. There's iContact, Constant Contact, MailChimp. They've all got pros and cons to them. All of them are different. They've got things that are available on the free version, or you've got to upgrade to pay for others, or there's just things that they don't have that the others do. So you need to see exactly what you want from your program before you sign up for one. Most of them have trial programs, so you can check them out and see what works for you. Now, there's a couple of reasons why. One is because if you're sending out mail to people from Outlook and it's a newsletter and it's a PDF attachment, it just doesn't look very professional, and a lot of people freak out about attachments because there's so many Trojans and viruses out there. People they're really sort of suspect about attachments, and they should be. Unless you know the person sending it to you, you know what you're expecting, especially if it's a zip file, you just don't want to be opening it. So it just limits how many people are going to open it, because if people are quite fearful of that sort of thing, they're just not going to. It also doesn't look very professional, and if you're a virtual assistant, you need to be knowing the best ways to do this sort of stuff and the best way to represent your business, because they're going to want you to do the same for them. Now, you're also going to have much better ways of dealing with the potential of being considered spam. So with programs like this, what they do is, most of them do, is they limit how many people you can add to your contact list before you have to start proving where you got that list from. They also are quite strict on how many bounces you get. So if you get a lot of bounces or unsubscribes in the newsletter, they're going to start checking to see whether or not you're using dodgy email addresses or email addresses that are obtained sort of unethically. And the other thing is they've got all the other little points, bullet points ticked in terms of having the right information at the bottom for unsubscribe options, for contact you options. So everything that you need to have there that the receiver needs to see to ensure that they can't say, yes, this is spam, because I can easily unsubscribe. I can contact this person if I want to, and it's gone through a good system. So that's one reason why you would use these. Another one is that the way it looks is just so much better. With some of the programs, they may have changed in the last year or so. I've kind of steered clear of a couple of them, but some of them, when they send their mail out, it looks different depending on whether you're looking at it in Outlook, Hotmail, or Google, or what have you. And they're all going to look slightly different because each program has its own rules. So there's some programs out there that no matter what you do in your newsletter, that program will not look at your background colors, or it will not consider your table widths. They just don't care. So your newsletter is going to look like a dog's dinner because that program just doesn't like doing that. Nothing you can do about it, but if you can use a program that shows you what the newsletter is going to look like in each version of the receiver's end, then you're going to have a much better chance of having a nice newsletter sent out at the end of the day. You can also track how many people are opening the email, how many people are clicking on it, whether they're forwarding on it. So you can do a lot more research and determine whether there's value in doing the newsletter at all. So the prices for the MailChimp one, I'm just going to flick through that fairly quickly because you need to investigate what program's best for you. But as you can see, it's quite affordable. And if you're doing your research afterwards, you're checking your click-through rates and all that sort of stuff, and you're seeing that that's providing value to you, then you can determine what sort of price you can invest in the newsletter program. You can also embed all of those programs. You can embed forms on your website. A lot of them also have forms that you can embed into your social media platforms like Facebook. So you can have a little tab at the top of your Facebook page that will say subscribe to us, and it'll take them to a nice little sign-up form. And it just makes it a lot tidier, easier to track. If they unsubscribe, you don't have that extra work of having to manually remove them from your list. And if you forget to do that, potentially getting into trouble or getting yelled at. And the worst thing that happens is when you send out a big email out to a whole lot of people and you don't use the blind carbon copy in your email, and everybody sees each other's email addresses, heads will roll. People get very, very angry. So use a program like this so that you can avoid all of those little errors. Okay, so just briefly just run through a couple other ones. There's virtual faxing now. So we've actually got a fax machine. It was funny because Greg was using it earlier this week. He had to pull it out off the shelf because I'd put it away, and he needed to send one fax. And it was driving him crazy. It was so noisy, making all that dinging, dogging noises. And I know, as a VA, I know there's so many other ways you can do it. And we've set up online virtual faxes for clients, but we never had one ourselves because we just don't use faxes that often. So I went onto my iPhone and I found an app that lets me take a photo of the fax and fax it, and it's free. So it'd just be a normal phone charge or messenger charge. So there's so many things out there you can do that make it easier these days without having to use, the heavy, clunky hardware. Online SMSing, there's a few different things you can do with that. There's programs that you can subscribe to. Some are linked to hosting accounts and some are separate, where you purchase a certain amount of credits, I suppose, to be able to send SMSs to your clients, to whoever you want. They can be scheduled, they can be based on particular events, or they can be individual SMSs that you set up online, and you don't have to worry about manually handling it from your phone, so it's all there in one place, which is pretty cool. And Google Apps. So a lot of people are using Google Apps now, and there's just so many things you can do with that, with sharing documents and saving files and all that sort of stuff. So with Google Apps, I find that it's quite similar to the idea of your Dropbox. But as Marie-Bridget said earlier, saving files to Hotmail and all that sort of thing. If you've got share options like Google Apps do, you can share them with all sorts of people, including your calendars, all that sort of thing. So, Chris, do you have anything to add to that?
Sorry, no. I'm a bit distracted by a child.
I know.
Sorry.
Thank God for your husband. So
yeah.
You can talk and read at the same time. Yeah. So
yeah.
What's probably your favourite cloud product?
Well, definitely Dropbox is my favourite, but and I'm very sorry to have to tell you, Rosie, but I love MailChimp. I love it.
Yeah, I know. That's why I'm getting you to do all our newsletters. I think the difference.
No, MailChimp's.
Sorry, with MailChimp, the reason why there are alternative options out there, like our program is $40 a month, so it's more expensive, but there's a lot more options that are included in that. So what happens is, same as when you get your domain name or your hosting accounts really cheap, and then if you want to actually have anything extra that, that does, so it evaluates things or gives you reports or lets you do surveys or anything like that, or like, as I said with the hosting, if you want to actually have email addresses and stuff, they start, adding to the cost. That's where they start billing you. And in the end, I've had one client with another program, it's Nuvo Mailer or something like that. And in the end, we found she was paying so much because it didn't have bounce management. So the emails were bouncing. It wasn't unsubscribing them after 2 bounces. She had to manually do all that until she paid extra for bounce management, and then she couldn't do scheduling. She couldn't schedule a newsletter, so she had to pay extra for that. And in the end, she's now paying more for that than she would for ours, and ours includes all that in it. So that's what I mean when I say you need to know what you want the program to do for you. If you want it to be a basic newsletter and just give you your basic stats, then yeah, MailChimp's the way to go. But if you want it to do a lot more than that, yeah, you need something bigger.
Yeah, and I definitely think MailChimp's the way to go when you're starting out, and or if you're doing. I do newsletters for a couple of clients, so because they can't use MailChimp because it can be a little bit tricky to get the hang of, and they don't have the time. And one lady in particular, she's just not interested in learning it, so she just types it all out on a Word document, and then I go in and type it up for her in MailChimp and send it out. And it's fantastic for her because that's all she needs. She doesn't really want all those reports and all the forms and everything, but she doesn't want to have to manually unsubscribe people if they don't want to be subscribed anymore. So MailChimp just does all that for her, so it works really well.
Yeah, and you've got those share buttons, your unsubscribe buttons, all that sort of stuff is part of that package, and they're really, really important, because if you don't have unsubscribe options, you are spam. So you can get into a lot of trouble. If you're one of the things I learned a couple of years ago is, have you all heard about double opt-ins? Where you sign up to a newsletter, you get an email, and you have to click on the link to say, yes, I actually really did want to subscribe to this newsletter. That's called a double opt-in. And if you don't use a double opt-in newsletter, like tick, yes, we're going to make sure everyone has to do that, in I think it's America, then you're breaching spam laws. So you need to make sure you're using a program that caters for all that, because if you're just using a normal email program, you're never going to be able to satisfy all those rules. And plus, as Chris said, the client doesn't want to know how to use it. It needs to be a program that you need to know inside out and back to front. So you just go in there and you practice, you send mail to yourself. I've got a whole bunch of email addresses, so I can test all my accounts to myself or to people here in the office with me, or peers. If I say to them, look, I need to just see how this looks, does anyone mind if I send them a newsletter? You can do that. That's the best thing about the VA industry, is people go, yeah, no worries, send it through. So you can do all that, and the client never has to worry about it. That's what VAs are for, or VPs. That's what we're for. A lot of my clients do not care about the software program. They don't care what you're using. They just want the end result. So for starters, if you've got a client who's got the money and they're going to pay the subscription, and they want to get all those extra bells and whistles, then yeah, you get a higher end one. But if they want the absolute basics and you want to make sure that the cost is as low as possible, then yeah, use MailChimp. Be really good. So I'm trying to think of any other programs that we use. There's backup ones as well. I use Carbonite for my backup. So that means that all of the files on my computer, actually not every file, only the files that I have selected, and there's a lot, are automatically, continuously backed up to the cloud. So that was actually really, really fantastic when we moved house, because as per, the method of Australian telecommunications, our house systems didn't go up for about 2 weeks because of, they just seemed to find it very entertaining. But it didn't matter because, well, it did, but it didn't matter so much because we've got our iPads, we've got our iPhones, and I can go into Carbonite and everything's laid out on there the same as it is on my computer, and it's backed up constantly. I don't even notice it. Can you see my toolbar at the bottom of the screen? There's my Dropbox one.
No.
Can you see that? No. Okay, I can fix that. Show screen. Okay. Can you see them now?
Yeah.
Yep, cool. Okay. See all the things I've got open. I'm going to close. Google Desktop, Google Apps. See, look, all these Google apps and stuff. Actually, my partner here does web design, and his brother works in here as well, and he's a real techie. And I have to get them to set all this stuff up for me, which is really, really handy. Now, where's my Carbonite? There it is. So just click on that. See, freeze your backup. So if I'm doing a whole lot of different stuff and I don't want it to be backing up, I can freeze it or pause for a certain amount of time. Or let's see what happens when I click on that. Here we go. So this is a paid program, but in terms of security for, just those files you just do not want to lose, this backs up my external hard drive as well. It's constantly, it's paused because I've got this open, but it's constantly updating and backing up files. I can search for files, I can browse my backup, so just like any other folder. And also, if I've accidentally deleted something on here, it will still be, I'm using my hands like you can see me, it will still be on Carbonite for a couple of days, I think it is, it might even be 20 days. So you can go in and you can select which files that you want there to be able to replace. So that's another program I rely really heavily on. Does anyone else have any other recommendations? I'm just having a look on my computer to see what else there is. iFax is the one I downloaded the other day. Mobile fax machine. And I haven't tried it yet, but it looks pretty cool, and it had good references, and it looks the screen when you log into it looks like an old fax machine, which is kind of cool.
I guess a couple of other ones that come to mind from my point of view is CRMs, if you're getting to that stage where you want to have a customer records management system, then you can actually get online ones. And in fact, you can, if your clients have online ones, excuse me, if your clients have online ones, then you can manage it for them, so you can add data into it for them and stuff like that. So that can be, they can be really good. And there's a number of good CRMs, and there's a number of free ones that you can use for, or really inexpensive ones. I think we use one called Zoho, which is not too bad. We're all still learning it, to be honest, but
which is why you got that. That's why they got that newsletter the other day, where everybody's name was.
Oh, the email. Yeah.
Yeah, that was me learning a new system.
That's it. But there is a free version of that, or you can have a paid version as well. And there's a number of those. There's Capsule CRM, and there's I can't think of any. But there's also, as well as CRM packages to keep track of your clients and things like that, you can also use accounting packages or invoicing packages online. So things like MyOb has an online one, and that's a little bit expensive, MyOb, but it's something that's good to have in place early, I think.
Yeah.
Your accounting stuff, because that can be, otherwise you can just get into a bit of a mess. Mind you, as Donna said the other day, an Excel spreadsheet is quite adequate when you're very first starting, but I found that I was losing track of who owed me money, and I had to keep going through my spreadsheets, and it was actually easier for me to get MyOb. So, but you can buy things like that online. You can use FreshBooks or QuickBooks, or there's a whole bunch of different invoicing and accounting online.
I actually use QuickBooks. I completely agree with you there too. The reason why I find value in paying for those is the amount of time that I would spend checking and double checking a spreadsheet, which wouldn't notify me if something was overdue or needed to be done. I'd save that money instantly by purchasing the program that would do that for me. I've also heard fantastic things about Xero, which is Xero,
Oh, yeah.
and Greg's actually, this is my husband, he's actually using it at the moment, and he hates doing the books, but he loves how he can instantly go in there and just reconcile day to day, because it links up with his accounts so beautifully. I know that I can link my bank accounts to my QuickBooks, but it just doesn't seem as easy as the way Xero does it. So that's a really good one to check out. I've heard from a couple of people, including Kylie Short, who is a fantastic bookkeeping VA, that Xero is an amazing product. So definitely worth checking out. And if you're unsure about it, speak to Kylie Short from Tilda Virtual, and she'll give you all the info, and she'd be able to get it for you at the bookkeepers. You know how you can get it through your bookkeeper for a better rate. Express Invoice is apparently very good as well. Marie Bridget's recommending. So if you've only got 10 to 15 clients, Express Invoice will help, which is great. I think I do recall seeing that on somewhere. They used to have, do they still have the small bookkeeping program through the ATO that they used to have, Chris? Do you know?
I have no idea. I don't know.
Yeah, I don't know. Check. Yeah. So there's a lot of options, and when you're on the forums, this is why the forums are so valuable. You just post a question on there and you just say, look, this is where I'm at with my books, and I need something that does blah, blah, blah. Can anyone recommend anything? And they'll all be there to provide you with tips and advice. Sam's recommending FreshBooks. I've heard that's very good. It's free for limited clients and has time tracking. And that's why I've heard about it, actually, is because of the time tracking, which is very useful for VAs who base their prices on their time. So snotty, I love it. I did think of another one just before, and it's gone out of my head again. But in terms of other things that you need to have online, in my view anyway, PayPal is another one that you need to have an account with. Upgrade that to a business account. It doesn't cost any extra, and you'll be able to get payments from clients through that. They're going to take a fee through PayPal. So what I find is if it's a really nice, juicy, big invoice, try to get them to do a bank transfer rather than PayPal. But for those small PC ones, it's quite handy if you've got subscriptions or renewals or anything that's regular. You can get subscriptions through PayPal, and that can save you a lot of time, and it's very easy to reconcile at the end of the year as well. Any questions? Okay. I'll just read this message out. I went to the Apple Store the other day to research the cloud as I'm doing an assignment for my diploma. They recommended Google Drive, not iCloud or Dropbox. They said iCloud cannot scan docs, and if I want to use Dropbox, I would have to reinstall it. If, for instance, I went to a nursing home and it was not installed there. That's actually not true. If I took an iPad, that would be okay. Yes. If you've got it installed on your iPad or your iPhone and then your computer, you can go anywhere. Marie Bridget said Google Drive is good. I don't know. I haven't used it. Have you used it, Chris? Has anyone else used it? Sorry, Han. Yeah, I find it interesting that they would say iCloud cannot scan docs. If you want to use Dropbox, I'd have to reinstall it if I went to a nursing home. You know how easy it is to install? So are they talking about if you went and worked on their computers? Because it takes 2 seconds to install it, and I just can't see how that would ever be an issue. One of the things that we want to do is work with clients and help them to set this sort of stuff up, because it is so easy, and it means that it's easier for them to work with virtual professionals if they've got these things in place, and it's so easy to set them up. So I think rather than this is it's on the record but off the record at the same time, I'm wondering if they're steering you towards Google Drive, Jen, then there might be is there a paid association with Google Drive? Do you have to pay anything? Just curious about, it's free. There might be an affiliation there. So 5 gigabytes is free, so then you have to pay above that. Okay, so if you're a working virtual professional, you're going to go, you will go above 5 gigabytes if you're dealing with any media files. I think the people to ask is, Marie Bridget, it's free up to 5 gigabytes. I think the people to ask would be other VAs who have used it, because my personal opinion is that people in the shops are told what they're told, but they're not actively using it necessarily, and they're not using it in the capacity that you'll be using it. So while I haven't got experience with Google Drive, then you would go onto the forums or onto Facebook and ask people who have, and ask VAs or VPs who have, because they're using it in the way you want to use it. So I kind of find that a bit frustrating when you get told what you shouldn't be using by someone who works in a shop, because they're great at what they do, but it's a totally different style of using the program. So I can see that you agree with that. So Chris, would you have anything else to add to that?
Oh, definitely.
Yeah.
Yeah, definitely. Oh, absolutely. I've been told, I can't think of any stories off the top of my head, but I can remember distinctly the feeling of, you don't even know what you're talking about. Looking at a salesperson in, Officeworks or Dick Smith or somewhere, and going, yeah, no, I know I need more information. I know other VPs that have used this product this way, and you're telling me it can't be done. Yeah, I need to go find somebody else to talk to. So I definitely agree. Yeah, definitely get into Facebook or even LinkedIn. LinkedIn's actually got some really, really great virtual assistant and virtual professional groups with within there. So yeah, hop onto those and ask those kind of questions, because they're the ones using it, as you said, and they're the ones that really know.
They've gone in and done the nitty-gritty, and they've also fallen over on stuff that doesn't work. So when you're on Facebook as well, if there's particular areas that you're focusing on, make sure you let people like Donna, Chris and myself know, because we're parts of some of the groups that are on Facebook that you wouldn't find normally. And we can invite you into groups where people focus on particular programs. So, for example, there's a VAs in WordPress group that I started up about a year ago. There's quite a few VAs in there. And we're constantly asking each other about different apps and just tweaks around things that don't quite work, because exactly the same thing as with any software program. You need people who are in there working on them. And why stumble through it again when somebody else can steer you in the right direction, who knows, who's actually been in there and has been using it. So that's where I get my advice from, and I found that has never failed me.
That would be good. I actually didn't know about that group myself, because I don't use WordPress, but I know there were a couple of people in the course who are looking to use WordPress and offer that as a service. So if those people can make themselves known to Rosie, she'll invite you into that group.
Yes, it only costs a block of chocolate, and I will get you in there. Anyone who is looking at doing anything that's sort of web or WordPress or hosting or any kind of web design type of work, please touch base with me. I'm so happy to help you. That's my area of expertise. I also have other people around me who are so much better at it than I am, or who are the same level as me. So between us, we can work things out, and we can support you to really be providing that service in a way that's fun and really helpful to your client. So that's my role within our little group with Chris and Donna, is supporting you with that. So yeah, make sure that you either email me, or when we finish this chat, just pop a question up and I'll touch base with you. So after this session, is this the last session, Chris?
I think so, unless there's some compelling questions that people need answering.
Which we're always happy to answer, yes.
Which, of course.
So assuming that you've answered all your questions beautifully, you've satisfied the attendance criteria, which is really exciting, and I hope you've had a really great time. And if you have, and if you've learnt some new stuff, please feel free to do an email or video testimonial for us, because we are still setting ourselves up and getting the ball rolling, so that would be so helpful to us. We'll be sending you a whole lot of stuff in the mail that'll be lots of fun. It'll tell you about the Jumpstart program, so if you're excited about doing the VA thing and you are still new at it and you want to jumpstart that and get access to the things that we do at Jumpstart, I don't know if they went through it so much the other day, but we go through what your niche area can be, so a bit of brainstorming. We go through some contracts, agreements. We look at, I think you've already looked at personality types, so we'll probably just touch on that a little bit again. We also you go home with a whole lot of different files to help you out, to get you started. We go through so many different things about the industry to help you out. The other thing that you walk away with is a basic website a WordPress site that we will walk you through. So once you get there, we'll have you set up with a domain name and hosting, and we set you up with a basic template, and there's options there to communicate with us ongoing to make sure that that's working for you and you've got it representing you the way that you want. So there's so much. It will be a brain explosion. It always is. You see people with their eyes popping out of their head by the end of the session, but they're always so excited. And we've got some. Eugenie's done the jump start. Has anybody else here done the jump start? Eugenie, are you happy to say anything good about the jump start? If it's evil, don't say it. I'll take your mic off, Eugenie. Hang on a sec. There you go. So you've got your microphone now, Eugenie. Hasn't had much luck with her microphone. You know what you can do? You can type a testimonial and I could read the bits that I like. I'm the only one who sees it. Sounds so dodgy. Give it another go, Eugenie. No. Marie Bridget's got a question. In terms of, what do you mean by PPC, Marie Bridget? I'm a bit foggy in the brain, so it could be something very obvious, but pay-per-click. Okay. You can do, her question is about good web ranking and pay-per-click campaigns. We can do a class on that, Marie Bridget, if there's demand on it, demand for it. We're actually, we've got the WordPress course coming up on AVBN early next year that Charlie Letham's running, and she is an absolute web genius, and she'd be a good person to ask. But I don't see why they would not be able to work simultaneously. If you you can totally do them both at the same time. So with the good web ranking, what you need to be doing, and this is a little bit off track, but what you need to be doing is make sure that you've got all the keywords that you want to be represented for. So when people go into Google and they start looking for someone who does, I don't know, what's your specialty? Say it's document formatting or a medical transcription. You want those words represented throughout your website so that Google goes, okay, that's what this person is trying to represent. When you've got a WordPress site, there's applications that you can add to it, plugins that allow you to be more specific with your search engine optimization. So you can go in there and put in a lot of keywords, and it supports you with that ranking. It depends on what the competition's like. If you want to be ranked really well for bookkeeping Australia-wide, you're going to have to do a lot of work, and you're probably going to have to pay someone pretty good money because there's so much competition out there. But if you're the only VA who does medical transcription in Swahili, well, then you're not going to have to do too much competition on that. You just have to have those words on your website. You'll probably be found. But there's a few tricks with SEO, search engine optimization, that helps you with your web ranking, meaning how you're found on Google. But the pay-per-click, you can just do that on Facebook, on Google, any way you like. So, yeah, use your built-in SEO. Link it to Google Analytics. If you have a Google account, set up Google Analytics, link that to your WordPress site. It'll give you instructions, and if you need help, always put your hand up, and it will start giving you statistics so you know whether it's working or not. Now, yeah, so that's off track a little bit. I just want to read out Eugenie's testimony, so long as it was really good. Let's have a look. She's written, and I swear this is true. She said, Jumpstart was great.
We can't believe, they're not going to believe a word you say now, Rosie.
Well, as she's left feedback on our website, which is vbdh.com.au, so you can go and have a look. She said the main thing to think about is what you want to call your website. It has some basic info to input. Find out about forms, themes, and widgets. Yeah, so when you leave the Jumpstart, one thing I really recommend is following up with us to make sure that, and Eugenie loves it. I have control over her website. If I want to log in there, I can do whatever I like. I'm actually really happy to go in and help tweak it and help give you ideas about different widgets and whatnot, so you walk away from that workshop with ongoing support. That's one of the things that Chris, Donna, and myself are really passionate about, is that we give you that ongoing support, so you're not just handed a whole lot of stuff and then we walk away. If it's a lot of support, there might be fees associated with it, but if it's basic advice, then we're so happy to help. So yeah, Eugenie's put feedback on the Virtual Business Development Hub website, and her tip is to, yeah, I think you agree about your business name. Have a think about that before you go to the workshop, and have a think about what sort of work you're passionate about, what you'd like to be offering. So,
and some of the other things that you come away from the Jumpstart workshop with is a business page, Facebook business page set up. You come away with a 90-day marketing plan ready to go, so you know what you're going to do for the next 90 days to market your business. You come away with a client information pack that's all ready to go with packages and pricing all set, so that if you walked out that door and you walked into your perfect client, you could actually hand over your client business pack right there and then, and just and you do that on a stick, like a USB stick, so you actually do it and we print it out on the day and you take that with you, but then you also take the stick home, so you've got it ready to go on Monday morning. So basically I think we usually do it on a Saturday, but some of it's been, I think we've changed due to somebody, me, not always being available on a Saturday to weekdays, but you can come away on the Monday ready to hit the road and get your business really starting.
Yeah. Well,
so
what we're doing with it is we're alternating between whether it's a weekend workshop or a weekday workshop. So throughout each month it'll alternate. So the next one, Jen, is, do you know off the top of your head, Chris, or I can look it up quickly?
No, I'll have a quick look.
You'll have a look?
You keep talking and I'll have a quick look.
All right. Does anyone want me to sing? No? Okay.
I know it's next year. But
it is. Check. We've got, no, that's cert one. So the next Jumpstart, I think, is February or March. So Chris is just looking it up. But we will actually send you out all the information about the next one. Have you got it, Chris?
12th of March.
12th of March, there you go.
It's Tuesday.
And is that an all-day one?
Yeah.
Yeah. Oh, of course it is. It's Jumpstart.
Yeah.
I don't know if there's a slide after this one, so let's have a look. No, let's leave it on that one. So if you have any questions, three of us are always happy to help. And what we could do actually is, if you are on Facebook, and I'm a bit passionate about the fact that VAs really do need to be on Facebook, what we can do is a Facebook group where we can all touch base, if you like, and have some conversations. So it'll be a private group. And if you're interested in that, let us know. We'll set that up, and that means that people who do the certificate one as we go along can join that group. And in the end, you will be the mentors of the people down the track who do the course, because you'll have, by the time they've done the course, you'll have mastered it all, and you'll be sharing all your tips and advice. So any final questions before we all head off for the evening? No? Beautiful. I hope you found that useful. One more question. Okay. Eugenie said thank you to Rosie and Chris. We appreciate that, Eugenie. Jennifer, you stumbled me a little bit with the compatible with Apple part of your question. But the question is, can I also ask you what time management program you use compatible with Apple? Now, if I use anything, I use, what's it called, Let me get out of it.
Timestamp?
Timestamp, just because it's easy.
Yep.
Do you know if that's Apple friendly?
Yep. I don't know. I presume so, because actually I think it is, because I think you can download it. Most of those programs allow you, oh, cute. Most of those programs allow you to choose whether you're downloading it for a Mac or for a PC.
Yeah.
A lot of them do. They give you the option, so obviously it must download differently.
Marie Bridget's recommending My Hours, which I've heard good things about as well. Let's see if I can find it to see if I know it's a Syntab product, so let's have a look at My Hours as well. I'll just see if they've got Apple versions. This one, to me, when I first saw it, I thought, gosh, that looks so dodgy, but it's a very simple but very helpful program. So, okay, so I don't know if it's got an Apple version. Looks like it's just, does that ring a bell for anybody? What's 2K? Is that Apple?
I have no idea.
Yeah, I don't know if that does, so let's have a look at My Hours. Marie Bridget loves this one. She's used it a couple of times and just found it really easy. Okay, so that one, I did have a look at this one. It's all online though, isn't it? So I love Timestamp. It's just on my computer. I use it whenever I feel like it. 2K would be Windows 2000. Ah, thanks, 2K. I should know that. Let's see if this has. It's disgraceful. So I'm guessing that this one would be, because it's online, it wouldn't really matter web-based. Because web-based, it's the My Hours one. We oldies know these things, Louise. I should know. My husband would be horrified to hear me say, what's 2K? So, yeah, it's just again, ask on the forums, because they're the Mac versions of stuff. I know people like Anita Kilkenny, for example, uses, you would have met her, uses both Mac and PC. So she'll know programs across both, which is really, really handy. So yeah, just ask the question. I'm happy to ask it on the forums, but I prefer people to ask their own questions, because I don't like to just go out and ask for you, because that way you get to know people a lot better. But yeah, there's a lot of people who would be able to help with that. I have a Mac sitting here behind me that I'm supposed to have created an app on, but I've only looked at it once, and it's been there for about 2 months. So I'm not really the best person to ask. I'm a PC girl. Okay, so we're going to sign off there. And thank you so much. Thanks for asking all those questions. That was fantastic. There you go. We'll sign off with a kiss. Baby Cheeto and a kiss. The one on the right's mine. And yes, so feel free to follow up with any questions. Please touch base on Facebook. My Facebook page is Virtually Yours Virtual Assistants, but there's also the Virtual Business Development Hub page, which is probably the best one there. Chris and I'll both find you on there, and we'll connect with you. You can ask any questions there, but also look at the online forums like Virtually Yours to just network and get to know a lot of other VAs. The value there is immense. I agree, Marie Bridget. We both deserve a holiday in Paris, and that's why tomorrow I'm heading off overseas to Phillip Island for the weekend. I don't know about Chris, but I'm living the high life. Marie Bridget's like, wow.
No, I'll be stuck here in good old Heathmont.
Oh, it's a lovely life, isn't it? I'll be taking my pictures with me. So I really commend you all for doing the certificate. I really wish I could have come and met you, but there'll be other opportunities where we'll get to meet face to face. And I'm just really proud of you all for signing up for it and following it through. So on behalf of Donna, Chris and myself, we thank you.
Yes, we do, and as far as I'm concerned, it was delightful to meet you all, and I wish you all the best in your businesses, and I know we'll still see each other from time to time, and as Rosie said and Donna said the other day, do not hesitate to contact us with a question. Don't even think twice about it, because we are most happy to help. We're excited. We're excited to see new VAs coming through, and yeah, it's just cool. Good for you guys.
It is. It's fantastic. So you make us happy when you give us ways that we can support you. So have a fantastic evening. Thanks, Chris, for supporting with this webinar tonight. Really appreciate it. And for for doing everything else you guys have done. And thanks for all your comments, ladies. I can see them all popping up, and I really appreciate it. And yeah, we'll all touch base soon. We'll be sending you some stuff in the mail, so you'll hear from us very soon. Have a fantastic evening.
Bye-bye.
Bye.